Live. Wait, the room is now locked. Is it live? I can't tell. I think it has the red. It shows the red, but I don't know if it's live.
Yeah, it might be.
Okay.
You're live now. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Cerealboxd Reviews. We're gonna talk about two movies that are kids Halloween films, but aren't they're in different animation styles, but I had that because the recommendation was ParaNorman, but then I threw out Monster House out there because I felt that I don't know what made me throw it out there, but I was reminded that I think it's because the two main characters are kind of similar. The friends, or whatever.
Yeah.
They're pretty much like
Totally.
characters, but we're gonna talk about Monster House first, the Kino masterpiece from 2006. It's a hood classic, and I watched Monster House so many times when I was a kid. It's probably one of my most viewed movies as a kid. Me and my cousin used to watch it all the time, and I think it's one of those weird movies where I think everybody has seen it, but it's kind of like a forgotten movie. You know, it's not forgotten because there's a lot of like people making memes of it and stuff, but it's kind of under nobody really talks about it that much. It was actually I had to check out the box office of it. It actually did pretty good when it came out because I don't remember it how well it did because I saw it in the theaters, but I don't remember how well it did when it came out. I know they had the video game stuff, but yeah. And then I checked the box office, and I guess it did pretty good that year. It made a lot of money, but I don't. It's I don't. Everybody I've known has seen this movie, but it's just one that's not really like brought up that much. If you're too, because there's actually some people, I was reading some YouTube comments and people were saying, "Oh, this movie came out the same year I was born," and stuff, which is kind of weird. So a lot of people actually probably don't really that are younger, probably don't even know about this movie. But I'll give the plot, I guess, and then we'll of course get into spoilers. It's about there's this house in this neighborhood, and the movie's actually set in the 80s. I don't know if you ever picked that up. It doesn't say in the movie, but it does take place in the 80s. But and what was I gonna say? There's this house, and there's a creepy old dude that lives there, and he hates kids that get on his lawn, and he always yells, "Get off my lawn!" and steals kids like bikes and toys and that kind of thing. And the beginning is absolutely hilarious. You know what's the funny part of that scene with the little girl that goes on his lawn is how she runs away. She's like, ah! Because the animation's so bad. She runs. Ah! She's like, my trike. Eats the ribs. And then, so there's this, the neighbor across the street is, a family lives there, but, the kid, the son of the family, is, trying to figure out what's going on with him. He knows, something's up. Something's not right with that house. And, him and one of his friends, comes over, his best friend named Chowder, who's the comic relief character, and he's supposed to be the funny fat kid, but he goes, his parents are going away because I don't know, on like I don't know, remember what it was. I think it was just like sometime alone or whatever. But uh, uh, then so his parents are away and he gets a babysitter who's like a punk girl, and um, she just like kind of like gives him shit and stuff, and he hates her. And uh, his her boyfriend comes over named Bones. He's just some loser in a band, and uh, tries like French kisses a stuffed animal, and and then uh, anyways, he gets kicked out because he's obnoxious and stuff, and he goes across the house all drunk and like just told. Okay, oh yeah, I didn't even tell. There's a big gap I didn't mention. The old guy, when they were
Yeah.
the old guy earlier in the movie, they were on his lawn and he came out all pissed, and he actually gave him like it wasn't a heart attack, it was like a stroke or something. He gave him like a stroke
I
or
think he like or something like something with his back.
yeah, and he went to the hospital and they assumed that he just died, and but so anyways, the babysitter kicks her boyfriend out. So he's not at the house or anything. Nobody's there, and the house is actually alive and eats him. And that's when they figure it out that the house is like alive, and um, and then they meet this girl who is from some private all girls school, and she uh, she's like selling stuff. Like I don't remember what it was, but she was selling things door to door, and that's how they met her.
Halloween candy.
And then the movie they go on to investigate the monster house, pretty much. That's kind of pretty much the plot of the movie. It's actually not that long of a movie. Like it always felt longer when I was younger, but it actually went by pretty fast. I thought. I think it's only an hour and a
Yeah.
half, but what do you think of Monster House?
I remember watching this when I was younger. I got like I don't know, I just didn't watch it. Like it's weird because like these movies, like we didn't watch them. Like we didn't like the other ones. You know, like we didn't watch the other one. Now when I got older and I watched this, like this is actually not that bad of a movie. It actually was really funny. Um,
Yeah,
the characters were played their part right. Yeah. I mean,
yeah, it's
it was a pretty fun movie for what it was.
yeah, it the only thing that doesn't really well, it was bad at the time. The animation was actually kind of bad, even at the time. Um, but uh, I don't know if you've seen the behind
Oh
the
yeah,
scene footage on this movie, but it's actually kind of weird because all the actors are like, it was like that movie, The Polar Express,
mm.
um, where they're acting it out and they put the CGI over them,
Oh,
and like the behind the scenes footage, it looks like
oh,
they're
okay.
in some like they're doing like some abstract art performance or something. It's really weird looking, and um, yeah, the jokes are actually pretty funny in this day, and a lot of there's people that complain that it's not like, oh, this doesn't seem like a kids movie, but like I don't, it's a kids movie to me. It's just, yeah, there's some crude jokes or people that die in the movie, but it's not that bad. I think people over exaggerate how bad it is, but uh what was I gonna say? Yeah, the jokes are really funny. Um, my two favorite jokes in the movie are uh, the one where Chowder's they're on the phone talking. It's when he's gonna meet up with him, and Chowder's all like, "Oh yeah, I could do that. My mom's out with her personal trainer at the movies with her personal trainer."
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Trexel, we are talking about Monster House. By the way, if you're when this is on YouTube, I'm gonna let you know that the YouTube viewers that this is live on Facebook. So we might randomly call out the chat, and you're like gonna be like, "What chat?"
Yeah.
Anyway,
Thank you to this name.
but in my other favorite joke, another one with Chowder is when the house is going towards them, and he closes the door, the little gate door, and the old man Nebbercracker is like, "What are you doing?" And then Chowder says, I'm trying to slow it down." It's so stupid.
Yeah.
I guess we can talk about the rest of the plot. So some cops come, Kevin James and Nick Cannon, and they don't believe them, and they get eaten by the house. And then there's John Heater, who played Napoleon Dynamite in this movie. He plays as Skull, the dude at the arcade that's obsessed with the game. Now, did you pick up something? Did you see what
Yeah.
the chick's her shirt said? It said Skull and Bones. I don't know if you picked this up. I just found this out last time I watched the movie. That it's supposed to be that I think it's supposed they know each other and that they're supposed to be bandmates. That guy in the arcade and the Bones guy, that's their band. Because in the comic book, there's a comic, like a prequel comic, and I guess they're in a band. And in the movie they don't say it, but I just picked it up because at the end of the movie, remember she hooks up with the Skull or whatever, and Bones is like jealous and stuff. But yeah, this is something interesting. But yeah, I'll just call him Napoleon Dynamite. Is obsessed with playing arcade games to the point where he'll just sit there all day and like shit in a diaper, and he gives him tips on how to destroy the house. And yeah, and then they go in the house and they actually do it. You find out that so the house is Nevercracker's ex-wife who died, his widow who died because she was like a circus freak, and but she actually she was like huge, like morbidly obese, and he liked her and they married. And he got her out of there, and he decided to build a house for her on that property, but the kids were picking on her and she got mad. And this part I always thought was dumb. She fell in the pit, but she grabbed on the cement thing. It's like, what? It's just conveniently, she's like, grabs it, pulls it, and then she falls in the pit and dies, being covered in cement. It's just kind of fucked up. And yeah, and then she decides that possesses the house, and so Nevercracker comes back from the hospital and he helps him out to destroy the house, and he has dynamite there just in case that one of these days he had to do something like that. And
yeah,
they work on together to destroy the house. They throw the dynamite in the chimney, because that's where the heart is or whatever, and They blow up the
Yeah.
house, and everybody's free, including like the people who got in the house. They come out the pit, and
Mhm.
Nevercracker is free as well because he doesn't have to deal with the house eating people and stuff anymore.
Yeah.
um, and he becomes a nice guy. He switches pretty quick. um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
the actors in this movie, it actually like surprised. Like I knew that John Peter was in this and stuff, but and Nick Cannon was in this, but I didn't realize like Kevin James and Jason Lee are in this movie. Uh, I never like it's not that I didn't know that, but I never really paid attention. Um, and Steve Buscemi, of course. There's a lot of like star power in this movie. But yeah, I don't think any of them would ever like in interviews and stuff. I don't think they ever mentioned this movie. It's kind
Yeah.
of I don't want to say hidden gem, but it's kind of not a movie people talk about a lot. Um,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, what else did I want to talk about? Um, fuck, I don't know what else I have to say about it. Do you?
No, I think you nailed it right in the head.
Yeah, the memes on this movie, I think you have to look up Monster House memes. They're fucking hilarious. I was crying watching them. Man. But yeah, I think I said what I had to say. I don't know. I feel like there's something missing. Did you think the animation was grotesque?
It kind of was, but you deal with it later on.
It kind of fits with the movie, I think,
Yeah.
because they're all kind of creepy and weird looking.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a Halloween
Um.
movie, so.
Uh. Anyways, what would you rate it?
I don't know.
Still no.
Yeah.
I am giving it a 7 out of 10.
I was gonna say that 7 out of 10.
Yeah. I think I my old score was an 8, and I I think I bumped
Yeah.
down this though because I don't think it's that. I like it, but it's not that great of a movie. And most of it is like nostalgia,
Yeah.
but um, yeah. Anyways, moving on to the next film. um, ParaNorman. Now I did not see this one when it came out. Uh, because at that time I was not watching these movies at all, and I didn't. All my cousins and stuff uh, were kind of old at that point, older. Um, so I didn't. There's a lot of movies I watched that was not definitely not made for my age group, but I watched anyways because my cousins were watching them or something like that. But this is one I just never watched. This is 2012. I think I was like in seventh grade. I was not watching
Yeah.
uh, children's films in seventh grade. I was watching. That's when I was into like Drive and stuff like that. You know, I was also big boy stuff. Um, and uh, that's when I like started YouTube and stuff. But yeah, I was not watching this movie at all. I was curious about it because it's stop motion, and then stop motion always draws my attention. Um, I was thinking like just like a couple of days ago that we should have actually recommended Coraline instead of Monster House. Would have been a better fit. But
Mm-hmm.
uh, I like I like Coraline. What I remember of it, that is, I haven't seen it probably like in eight years. But uh, and that was one I didn't watch when it came out. Actually, it was like a couple years later. But uh, yeah, ParaNorman. You can introduce it.
All right. So ParaNorman. It was. I'm gonna show you the plot, but I think Jay already said about the plot of it, and then not the plot of it, but the when it came out and stuff. But like,
Yeah.
it was. It started with a Norman who speaks to the dead, all that stuff. His family and the rest of the people think he's weird for talking
Uh,
to ghosts. Yeah, and then like and all that stuff. He goes to school. He gets bullied about it and stuff like that. Until he meets a friend named Neil, who's also a comic relief character,
yeah.
kind of that way, kind of the same thing as the Chowder.
And
But
they
then
both
they
have. I
meet.
noticed that ParaNorman and DJ have like the same color palette, and like Chowder and Neil or like have
Oh
both like
yeah,
blonde hair.
yeah, yeah. That's true. And then meet this dude for some reason about about the whole witch trials thing, and then he dies,
Yeah.
and he talks to Norman in the bathroom about a book that that I think the witch hunt people were like coming real
Mhm.
soon, and then like Norman and the bully, I don't know his name, trying to go to this dude's house, and then like to get the book, and then zombies came out attacking the place, and like they started to run away and stuff. Um, I guess I know there's Jock and then this dude, then
And then
Norman's just yeah,
his sister who's like a Stacy.
yeah, and then the Jock is a Chad,
Kinda, yeah.
kind of yeah. And then they're trying to
um,
I guess
and and then the bully is like I forgot his name. He's like this movie you can tell totally came out in 2012
yeah,
because how the bully looks is like his look like the studio is like what do kids look like nowadays, and they just had like the weird gauge piercing, the way he was dressed and stuff, how he acted too actually reminded me of we knew kids like that.
yeah,
Just like dipshits, like and I think the movie is actually like the most like accurate bully I've seen on film. I think.
yeah.
uh, uh, but yeah, was there anything else?
I guess they have to go to a town's hall and like talk to the because I think like the people who did the witch trial like who thought like that girl who looks like Norman apparently who talks to the dead like
Oh yeah.
they have to burn them. Yeah, and the only way they can escape this curse is by like I don't know, kind of accept who she was.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they went to the graveyard, and then that didn't work. They had to go to the town's hall, and then Norman faces her, and it's okay to to be this way, And then she puts to rest. The
Mm-hmm.
zombies leave, and I guess the family accepts Norman who what he is and stuff, and that's it. And then
Yeah.
and then I guess the Stacy trying to yeah,
Oh yeah. The that's my that
trying to
was a great
confess.
twist.
Yeah,
Chad, where he's all like, "Ah, I'm gonna He's like, oh, you love my boyfriend. I thought that was actually pretty funny.
It's a Tony sucker for chick flicks. Yeah.
And okay, besides that, that joke, that twist, and some of the impressive animation,
Yeah.
I fucking hated this movie. I hated this movie.
Yeah.
I watched it twice already.
You told me when you got recommended, oh, I hate this movie.
I do not like. Even when I was intoxicated, I did not like this movie. I got drunk because I thought I'd enjoy the it would enhance the movie, and it didn't really. So the first time I watched it was out of curiosity, which was last year, I think. It might have been early. It was either late last year or early this year, like January, or it was probably December or January, one of those months. Watched out of curiosity. It was on my watch list because I just watched random movies on my watch list, and that just happened to be one of them. And I shut it off, I think, 30 or 40. I think it was 45 minutes in. I shut it off, and I was annoyed by the movie. I cringed, and yeah. Then I watched, the second time for this review, I decided to get a drink while watching it, and I don't remember a lot about it. I watched the movie, but I don't remember a lot. The stuff I do remember, I remember being mad watching this. I was mad. I was drunk and mad. And I think the movie, I do not like the humor in this movie. It just, I don't know, it's just not that funny. It's kind of, the humor, I know it's kind of for kids, but it's kind of, what would I compare it to? It's not, the movie should have been either, the humor should have been either Monster House, or it should have been something like Billy and Mandy, or something like that. It should have been something a bit. It didn't really have the movie didn't really have an edge to it, which I think that's what it really needed, and it almost felt like the studio was toned down things for a kids' film. That's what it kind of felt like, because I feel like this movie had a little more edge to it. I think it would actually be a pretty good movie, but the plot's not bad or anything, but I just think the jokes are not funny, and I think I just think each scene is boring. I don't like any of the characters in this movie at all. I kind of like the Chalk, because he's kind of funny, but but he's the characters I just don't like at all. I don't care. I don't like Norman, and I don't care the Agarith, whatever her name is. I just don't feel anything for her, because I just don't like her character. I don't like Neil. I just don't like any of the characters. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I just don't like it. And the beginning part, I knew I wasn't gonna like it from the first scene. It was the old movie trailer. It was the old movie, it was a Grindhouse movie, and I was like, oh no, because I remember this movie came out in 2012, but the late 2000s, early 2010s, that was a cliche in horror movies and stuff, where they would try to make it look like a horror movie from the 70s or something. that was a huge, or 80s, that was a huge cliche in the late 2000s, early 2010s, because it all started with uh, Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez's Grindhouse movie, which I might actually recommend one of these days, and I think you'd actually probably like it. But and the whole so it's the movie is two movies, but what they did is each movie is like a reference, and it has fake movie trailers in between. It's like a reference towards old. Uh, they call it grindhouse movies from the '70s. Either it's like horror, crime, uh, sex exploitation. They call it sex exploitation, not really porn, but that type of those type of movies from the '70s are very low budget. It would always play in like really small theaters, and it'd usually be sleazy ghetto theaters and stuff. And so that the part of ParaNorman is like almost like a reference. It's a grindhouse reference, and um, it so I kind of cringed because it's like because it's kind of that was a cliche at the time, and it kind of reminded me back when and then it was nothing like a grindhouse movie. And third, uh, uh, it just wasn't funny, and I got the jokes, but they just didn't make me laugh. It was this chick, zombie or whatever, was coming towards her, and she was screaming, and the scene dragged on for a long time, and she was getting bored, like screaming, and the boom mic was in the way. I understood what it was doing, but I just didn't think it was funny. I just thought it was lame, and um, I don't like movies too that uh, are like too cool. Like people that make not just this movie, but a lot of movies. Like people that make them are horror movie fans and stuff, but they act too cool for like old horror movies and stuff. Like I know they're kind of I know it might not have been their intention, but it's just something that kind of bothers me because it's kind of like, oh, you're calling this cheesy, but the thing you're making is cheese, almost arguably much more cheesy. And anyways, but I knew right off the bat I was not going to like it because of that scene. But yeah, and I watched it because after that, because Norman was watching the movie, and went into the movie and stuff. He was talking to the ghost, and the first time I watched it, I shut it off like 45 minutes in. Yeah. What else was I going to say about this? I do think the animation in parts is very impressive, but don't I don't really even like the art style of this movie. I just think it's kind of boring. Um, yeah, I don't know. Um, I just don't like how the movie looks. Uh, yeah, but I give it props for that they did that stop motion and the scenes were actually more impressive and stuff. But yeah, I guess I'm done talking about it. I don't really have anything good to say.
You can tell that Jay hates the movie by going into detail.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow, what do you have?
all right,
What do
it's
you
a
have?
kids movie, so I'm killing it.
Do you have anything else to say about
It's I watched this. I watched this a lot of times, and each time I watch this, like I get the jokes and stuff like that. I don't know. I even though I recognized this movie, it was just like on top of my head because I recently watched it again. But it's
it? Yeah.
it is what it is. Yeah. So
Yeah. I thought it's interesting because I
I don't
remember when
know.
this movie came
Yes.
out, I didn't. This is another. It's kind of another forgotten movie, sort of. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, a lot of people don't talk about this movie. And when this came out, I remember I think this movie did decently in the theater, but uh, the people
Yeah.
that I know that watched it didn't like it. I don't think, or kind of said what you said. Uh, and
Yeah.
it's interesting because the IMDb score is higher than Monster House, which I find it interesting because uh, uh, I've known a lot of people that I've known more people that have seen Monster House than have liked Monster House. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, uh, the funniest joke in the movie was the twist where the jock ended up being a gay guy.
Yeah.
Which is actually kind of funny. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. What would you give it?
I've seen this a lot of times. A 5 out of 10. It's just eh.
I'll give it. I'll give it.
Dude.
I'm actually not gonna give it that. I'm giving it a low score, but it's not that harsh of a score. It's a 3.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what I'm giving.
Yeah.
Because I'm giving credit to the things I like. I'm giving this credit, but
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot more things I don't like. Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
I do know what I'm going to recommend because I
All
want to
right.
recommend some horror movies. You know how East Coast people always say
Yeah.
horror, they always say horror.
The horror movie.
But so I was actually in my head for the past few days. I've been like, dude, I've went through so many choices of what I'm going to choose, and I know the perfect one
Yeah.
now. Because,
Yeah.
and I'm going to recommend. Actually, I'm going to recommend 2 movies because they kind of go together.
Mm-hmm.
They're not related, but they came out at the same time, around the same time. Uh, uh, so I'm recommending actually the first time on this podcast. I'm actually going to recommend it. This is going to be the first silent movie recommendation.
Oh.
First one we ever reviewed. I'm recommending it. Why it's so special is a lot of people consider it. It's actually the first feature-length horror movie, and it's actually, I think, one of the best from its time. One of the best silent movies ever made.
Mhm.
And it is the 100. It's the this year is the 100th anniversary of the movie. 100 years,
Dang.
and that's why I kind of want to talk about too. That's very interesting. Talking about a 100-year movie is the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. I won't say much about the movie because it's actually the first movie in film history, I think, that has a twist ending.
Yeah.
It's actually
Nice.
it's a pretty weird ending, and it's actually, I think, I actually saw the movie. I actually saw it in a theater, not 100 years ago,
Mm.
but I saw it a screening of it, of actual film print of like people,
Jason.
dudes in the theater playing music along with the movie and stuff. Dude on the drums going.
Dang.
It was a cool experience. This movie actually still holds up,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
it's actually, I think, a great movie. It's one though. You have to, unlike my other recommendation, you actually have to pay attention to because it does get. It's not that long of a movie, so it's not that bad, but it kind of gets confusing in spots. Um, but my other recommendation is another
Yeah.
one from that time. It's not 100 years old, but is Nosferatu. It's the other one I'm going to talk about. Uh,
Oh, okay.
and that one is easy to follow because it's pretty. That one's very straightforward. Nosferatu is just a Dracula adaptation. Um, and Nosferatu might be my favorite. I think it is my favorite silent movie, and actually is one of my favorite movies. Um, uh, yeah. And what's great about both these movies, they're both on on YouTube. Because every silent movie is on
Nice.
YouTube because it's public domain. Because it's public domain. But, yeah. Um, I want to talk about both those movies. I think it's the time to do it too. I want to do it as soon as possible because it's the 100th anniversary of Cabinet of Dr Caligari.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I wanted to recommend it. I like both of them. I think they are the top tier. Because silent movies are very hit or miss, but I think they are the top tier. They're the ones that actually really hold up.
Mhm.
So yeah, I want to talk about both of those next time. Okay, capiche?
Yeah.
All right.
Capiche.
End of the live broadcast. All right.